Let's go behind the song on Linda Ronstadt's number one hit, her only number one hit actually, You're No Good, off of her 1974 breakthrough album, Heart Like a Wheel. And let's do it through the words of her right-hand man, Andrew Gold himself. First, a quick history lesson. Andrew played in Linda's band on and off from the 70s through the early 90s, both on stage and in the studio, and often played a very large role as multi-instrumentalist and arranger.
You're No Good was actually, so I ended up playing drums because we didn't have a decent drummer. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why they thought, well, we can't find a decent drummer in LA. So we'll just use Andrew, who doesn't normally play. It doesn't quite make sense, but Peter Asher, the producer, was comfortable. So it was Kenny on bass.
Mm-hmm. Kenny Edwards.
Ed
right?
Black,
Yeah.
a guitarist with Linda at the time, playing a sort of rhythm thing. Played drums and kind of a pseudo Motown thing. And we left a big section in the middle, 16 bars I think it was, with the sort of reggae beat. Because we had no idea what we were going to put there. We really didn't. So we just left it, and then I sort of kind of played along and kind of built it up a little bit, but then we didn't know what we were going to do. In the end, we just repeated that. Then afterwards, I started putting on the keyboards, which were a Fender, a Wurlitzer.
Like the old Wurlitzers?
Yeah, Wurlitzer. We sort of did two tracks that one octave higher than the other. And then we put the more guitars on, and then we said, okay, now we got to address this issue of this middle section. So Peter Asher and Val Gray and I stayed up one night, fairly late as I recall, doing this solo, which was just sort of this double-tracked George Harrison-like thing, which was my want in those days and still today. So we did this whole thing, and then we did a thing at the end, which was originally it was the solo was through an amp. It was like a Fender amp. I had borrowed Linda's black Strat, which was a 62.
I remember it
Strat.
well. Yes.
And we just double tracked it, and then I did a little solo on top of the little do 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 do. And it's funny because I'm sort of jumping ahead, but a few weeks later, Val Gray, right before he mixed it, erased the first do 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 on one of the tracks.
Oh no!
And everybody's going, "Oh my God, this
It's
is
lost
he's
forever.
fired."
Yeah.
And what he did was. Just took the second lick, which was the same as the first on the same track, and flew it in. But it's manual. It was just like try to start the machines at the same time and just do it until you get it right.
Yeah.
So we did the end of it, and we had this old German EMT. It was a disc that was like an Echoplex, but it was actually a little tape disc. But it was warped. It was actually sort of broken, but it created kind of a subtle chorus effect.
One of those fortunate accidents.
Yeah, it was just one of these things, and we all went, oh, because back then it was like, we go, can we have that? That's great. We like that. It's broken. And Peter would say, no, that's great. And Val would go, but there's something wrong.
But technically,
with it.
it's not right.
Technically, it's not right.
Who cares?
So the next day, I came in I slept late, and I came in, and we were starting at 1 o'clock or something. So I came in about 3. And Linda had been there at 1. She hadn't heard, and she had no idea what we were going to do. She heard it and said, what the hell is all this sort of Beatles stuff all over this, this track? And it was the first time that she'd heard me sort of go to town on this thing. So at first she thought, wow, this is kind of too much. And she didn't like it at first. And Peter was trying to convince her, just give it a chance, And then she heard it about 5 or 6 times, and then she went, you know what, it is really good. This was one of my first ever experiences of hearing something I'd done. I heard it on the radio, and at the end of it, the disc jockey said, I've got to find out who is this guitar player on this thing. It's so great because and he kind of shuffled some papers, and then he said, oh, this guy Andrew Gold is the guy. He mentioned my name, and I died in my dead. I had to pull off to the side of the road. No, it was great. Sorry.